Here we are at Anderson on the foothills of the Gerties and just near the turn off over there to Phillip Island, and we're about to ride the Bass Rail Trail from Anderson all the way through to Wonthaggi. This is a really good place to start the ride. There's ample car parking here, there's toilets and facilities. You can actually start the ride about 5 or 6 kilometres back down that away on the trail, and that takes you down to Woolamai. There's no facilities there and there's not even a lot of parking there really, so it makes it a little bit trickier, but it's certainly worth doing if you want to add an extra total of 10 Ks onto the trip. We've actually done this ride before. It's really pleasant. It runs along the cliff top at Kilcunda, and we're going to hopefully find somewhere nice to have lunch. I think Susan thought that there was a cafe at the state coal mine, so we may have a bit of a look down there. Here we go, ready for the Bass Rail Trail. Really is a very easy bike ride. It's pretty flat, makes life pretty easy. If you're looking for one of your first rail trails to ride, this is a ripper. If you are riding this trail with kids, be a little bit careful of the first crossing as you're coming from Anderson heading towards Kilcunda. It's quite a busy section of road, even on a Friday. It can be fairly busy and hard to get across, so make sure you get your kids to stop before you get there. There are multiple access points along the track, so if you don't want to do the whole 20 Ks, there's different places that you can enter and exit the track. I think it's this section riding along the top of the coastline that makes this ride the great ride that it is. It's beautiful looking at the waves as you're riding along. Always plenty of people on the beach and plenty going on around this area. After a bit of a stretch along the beaches, you end up going through a bit of dairy farmland, which Gippsland is well known for, and there's a few little estuaries and creeks running through, and in the distance there you can see the Wonthaggi wind farm. So this section is the last couple of Ks before we go into Wonthaggi, and the trail through here, as you can see, turns into asphalt, which makes life a little easier. Not that it was very hard earlier. We've just arrived in Wonthaggi, pushing into a little bit of a windle on the way. This car park at the end of the ride is also a good jumping off point for the next stage of the ride that heads off to the east. I'm not exactly sure where that goes. I think down towards Foster. That's one that we will have on our list to do in the future. At the moment though, we need to go and find ourselves a cafe for lunch. We are driving around the streets of Wonthaggi because Susan knows where a cafe is, but guess what? We're riding around in circles. Fair chance we won't find this cafe. Here we are at the state coal mine. Will there be a cafe? We've driven about 3 kilometres around Wonthaggi. Let's see if she comes up with the goods and we can get lunch. We did make it to the cafe. I think it was only about an extra 3 kilometres on our ride, but it's got a really good menu. Looks like there's plenty of things to have a look at the state coal mine.
You had no faith. You thought we weren't going to get here. Fair to say, with my navigating, we nearly didn't.
So total distance to the coal mine cafe was around about 20 kilometres. We are currently riding through the central mine walking tracks of Wonthaggi. We have no idea where we're going, but we think that if we work our way through here, we'll get back to the rail trail. We've had a very tasty lunch in the cafe, and now we are adventuring. Feels like we're pretty close to the rail trail, but we actually can't quite get there yet. I'm just coming up to this old piece of wreckage up here, which is obviously something from the old mine. I have no idea where Susan's gone. She may well have fallen down one of the unstable mine shafts.
This would have to be my favourite part of the ride. I really like the way you get to ride along the edge of the coast here and have a look at all the waves, and there's lots of seats along the way too, so you can stop and have a bit of a look at the view, which I think is pretty impressive. As you can see, Peter's enjoying a rest on one of the seats.
And we are on the final descent back to Anderson to complete our Bass Rail Trail ride for this fine Friday. We've been going for 2 hours and 57 minutes, including lunch at the cafe. It did take quite a while to get our lunch, so it really wasn't that long of riding. And by the time we have completed the ride, my guess is we will have ridden exactly 40 k's, because we are on 39.1 kilometres at this moment. So, if you're looking for a really good rail trail, maybe your first one to get out and about, give the Bass Coast Rail Trail a bit of a go. It's easy, there are not many hills, there's a lovely cafe at the end, and you can have quite an adventure in the back of the coal mine country, as we did. Hang around, because next week we are heading to beautiful Bright, and while we're in Bright we will definitely be doing 1 or 2 bike rides. That's it from This Retired Life. Make sure you make your retired life better than a vacation.